when we see that, and then we also see an ambulance, we think that something's happened. But a couple times I've seen the cruiser just kind of driving through our streets and then out. And so I don't know if that's something that was requested by Montgomery County Police.
Oh yeah, that's one of my messages to our patrol officers is your community, especially with the indecent exposure stuff going on. Yes, the
Yeah,
theft from auto stuff is important too, but we're really working hard to try to figure out who that individuals are with the indecent exposure. So yes, our detective bureau, which is we have every district has a detective bureau that just handles smaller crimes, or certain crimes. It wouldn't be like a homicide or rape or something. So it's your lesser crimes. We call them DB. They're all specific to our district, and then each district has a DB. RDB, of course, is handling the indecent exposure, and the Detective Oaks, is phenomenal. He's very thorough. He's done a lot of stuff that I wouldn't be able to mention to you guys at the moment. Maybe later on, once we make a lockup, we can go over those details. But he's been doing a lot of work in getting our DCAT teams and other teams in your neighborhood at specific times that we think that this individual might be lurking. So yeah, yeah. So there's probably going to be some just benign activity of us just kind of being around, kind of seeing if we can catch this guy.
no, that's great. That's good to hear. Thank you.
Okay.
We usually get started about 7:33, 7:35. So if I'm just sitting here, it's because it's a Washington Grove 7:30 is a little loose.
I'm hearing a lot of chimes, so I'm thinking you've got a pretty good crowd.
So far, I think I'm expecting, and thank you for letting me record it, because I can make it available to anyone who
Yeah, absolutely.
asks me for the video.
And I can send you my presentation. If you need that, if you wanted to post that.
Yeah, definitely the slides. I'm seeing 23 so far, 24.
It's really good. It's really good.
Okay, well, why don't we start? Welcome everybody to this safety and security briefing from Community Services Officer Melanie Romano of the 6th District, which is, of course, our district. Chris has organized this, so I'll let Chris do a further introduction. Chris?
Oh, okay, thank you. So I'm pleased to introduce Officer Romano of the Montgomery County Police Department. Officer Romano has been working with the police department for 24 years. and she started a career as a patrol officer and moved to the department's media section as a public service officer. And after 4 years in the media section, she went back to patrol, where she loved responding to 911 calls. Washington Grove community was one of the beats that she covered in patrol, approximately 15 to 17 years. When the Montgomery County Police Department community service position became available, she applied and was selected and has been in this role for the past 3 to 4 years, allowing her to build relationships with community members in her district and support their needs. So I want to thank you for joining us, and thank you, Officer Romano, for providing this, for your time and providing this presentation. And the floor is yours. And before that, too, hopefully we'll have some time remaining for some Q&A, questions and answers. And the floor is yours. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you asking me to come on and speak to your folks. I think we both can get a lot out of this, not only the information I'm sharing with you guys, but maybe some information that you guys can provide to us moving forward. Because I feel like some of the things that you might be seeing or hearing about in your community, we want to try to do everything we can, and we are currently working on some things that are going on, and we'll talk about each of those individually. And I'm not super good with Zoom, so I asked John, Mr. Compton, to alert me if somebody asks a question or put something in the chat or raises their hand, something like that. So if you have a question as we go along, which I encourage, please do so, and hopefully we can kind of go from there. But be mindful, I may keep talking even though you've alerted us. So I'll have John, he's our expert, kind of referee that. So, of course, your community, I put a little map on there, and of course that's just Google Map. But you guys do have a really close-knit, quiet, like Chris said, that used to be part of my beat that I used to work. And as I was telling them a little bit earlier, I enjoyed going through that community just to kind of feel like it's such a close-knit, quaint area and quiet. I can't say that enough, quiet. So with that being said, when you have such a wonderful community like yours, sometimes it can be a target for folks that don't want to do the right things, and sometimes mostly juvenile kind of activity. But anyway, but there are some things we can go over that can help safeguard you guys somewhat, and I'll leave that completely up to you guys and what you decide and whatnot. But let's go over just a couple of things, and I'm going to jump right into it with our next slide, which is some indecent exposure events that have been occurring within the community. I kind of outlined it somewhat, and it's, of course, stemming back, I believe, since 2024. But the ones that or at least calls for service that we've received last year in 2025 were during the May and June timeframes, as you can see on my slide. And then we didn't have anything, at least anyone calling. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. It's just no one called us. Then we had something most recently in February where there was actually 2 victims, juvenile victims, that observed this activity and reported it to their mother, and the mother called us, and that report was written. I then also had victim reach out to me about an incident that happened in 2025. That victim reported it to me around, around February of this year. So it was something that happened last year, but reported it to me this year. She is actually a very good witness to this individual, and she did witness a male subject in a vehicle masturbating. Not to be too graphic, but with a crime like this, and to get a conviction, just so you know, unfortunately, the actual activity, the actual genitalia, that kind of information, or that has to be seen by the victim. So if this person is engaging in this activity and they're driving through the neighborhood, and you can most likely think that that's what's going on, but until we have, unfortunately, a victim that actually witnesses that activity firsthand and the actual genitalia, it'd be hard to get a conviction or to say that a crime occurred. And I know that sounds difficult, because for me, know that if I were walking through my neighborhood and somebody was doing that as they drove by, I would not want to view that. But unfortunately, for the police and for a charge to be made, that has to happen. So that is, I think, mostly where we're finding difficulties with trying to, of course, figure out who this individual or individuals are, but also having that witness to come forward and has seen the activity, to get that definite, crime, conviction, charges, all that kind of thing. So it's still an open investigation after these particular incidents occurred and were reported. Detective Oves, is with our Detective Bureau here at the 6th District, is working on this case specifically. He has done a lot of work on this, and I was talking earlier that he's even, reached out to some of our specialized units to help out with this. So you may see some police activity in your community, and it could very well be, something's going on, or it could be us trying to kind of be in the area, and maybe we catch this guy firsthand. Our detectives, like I said, are working on identifying the individual or individuals. I have an S on the end. Yes, this could be maybe one of two individuals. Unfortunately, I can't give you a whole lot of detail, but a lot of you have reached out to me and giving us a lot of great information that we were able to, that Detective Oves is able to track down. And as you all, like, I probably don't have to tell some of you, probably good chance that it is one particular individual or individuals living in a particular house that has been identified by some community members. That is all wonderful information that we're pretty much following through and hoping that information will lead us to the individual. Roadblocks we're running into is the vehicle that this individual or individuals is using is not registered to the person that's described. So it's a good chance it's not their car. And then some of our witnesses don't have a lot of confidence that they can pick this individual out even in a lineup. So that unfortunately becomes a roadblock for us. And like I spoke, it could be more than one suspect. So there's more than one suspect that has access to these vehicles that have been seen in the area and engaging in this activity. So there's where our difficulties lie when it comes to this. But we do need your help, and this is probably going to be familiar to some of you guys. We are looking for this Mercedes. You'll see the tag number there. There's also a white Toyota. I think it's a Camry they're using. There is a tag for that vehicle. I don't have that readily available, but if you see either one of these vehicles sitting or just driving slowly through the neighborhood or community, please don't hesitate to call us. I realize that, yes, we're, with a shortage of officers working, and it may not be a priority call, but I'm hoping that my messaging to our officers and also Detective Oaks, working really hard on this, that they'll recognize the call and try to get there as soon as they can. So if you see either one of these vehicles and it's, kind of odd, don't hesitate to call us. The Mercedes, I am not certain if it has that black, you see that bottom part of the vehicle, if it has the black or if it has this tan color, but it has been modified. So I don't know which one has been modified to currently, but look for it because it's pretty distinguishing, at least that particular vehicle. The Camry, I can understand why that would, you see a lot of white Camrys driving around. So that one might be you might be a little more hesitant to call it in, but those are the vehicles that we think this individual or individuals are driving. The last description from the victim that I spoke to gave a Hispanic male, dark hair, and described him as a big guy. Of course, behavior engages in inappropriate actions inside the vehicle and appears to ensure these actions are witnessed. So he is trying to get these victims to see what he's doing. That is part of that horrible behavior. Tips I can give, certainly if you're out and about, if you're walking your dog, you're going for a walk, whatever the case may be, certainly staying alert, aware of your surroundings at all times. Pay attention to vehicles, pay attention to people. Who knows if this individuals, got word that we know what car they're in now, so they're going to go on foot. I mean, who knows? So we just want to be always vigilant in knowing and being aware of your surroundings and what's going on. Of course, avoid talking or texting on your phone or engaging in social media where you're out. If you're walking at night, stick to well-lit, populated areas. If you have an alarm system or video surveillance at home, confirm that it's working. That's something we can talk about later on, but I encourage anybody and everybody to get just one video surveillance camera, which could just be a Ring camera. I have no affiliation with Ring. Doesn't matter to me if you use another type, Nest. There's a whole bunch of other different kinds of video surveillance, but if you get one of those cameras that just sits right there on your front door, it can be doubled as a doorbell. If you just have one of those, and you don't have to necessarily sign up for the monthly fee of, what is it, $10, $20 or something to have that video footage saved necessarily. If there is something, which I learned on another incident that happened in another community, that detectives are able to subpoena and get some of that surveillance with your permission, even if you don't have that service that keeps that footage. So don't feel like you have to buy that service or have it. I know for me, we have 2 video surveillance cameras at my home. I have one on my front door and I have one near the garage. For me, it alerts me whenever anyone comes to my front door. They don't have to push that button. It detects motion and will alert me that somebody's at my front door, or alert me that somebody's within that back garage area as well. So I find it's, 10 times out of 10, it's a FedEx guy dropping something off or whatever. But I like to know that. I like to know if somebody's standing on my property. But that's me. That's me. Going on to our tips, reporting any suspicious activity immediately by calling 911 or not emergency number. That is crucial when it comes to this individual. So, or individuals. If you see the car, if you see the activity, and this behavior they're engaging in, please call us right away. If you don't feel comfortable calling 911, call the non-emergency, but I would prefer you call 911 if it's something occurring at that moment. It's in progress. That way, hopefully we can get there and catch this individual, or at least maybe we go to where we think he might be going afterwards. And I can't overemphasize enough, if you believe you may have been a victim or witness of a crime such as this or any other, don't hesitate to call it in, even if it was a year ago or a month ago. Or if, you know, you say, well, I saw that car and yeah, it was driving slow and it was really odd. If you can call us and let us know that information, that gives us more ammunition to know when this individual is out and about and doing this. Or may, you know, even if it may not be this individual, maybe something totally benign, but at least you guys are watching, you're letting us know what's going on, and that it's something we can follow up on. Does you may have any questions so far? We good? All right, so I'm going to move to theft from vehicles or vandalism incidents. Mayor and Chris, we talked about this when you guys came to visit me. You guys this year have had a pretty bad string of vandalisms and break-ins to your vehicles, more so in March, as you can see from this diagram and the information below. It looks like some mostly were, maybe it's just a vandalism, but as you see in yellow, those are actual break-ins and where they attempted or stole the vehicle. The reason I outline those specific ones in yellow is that they are Kia vehicles. As most of you may already know, we talked about it before at another meeting, but Kia, unfortunately, there is a Kia challenge that kids are partaking in. And basically it just, they target either a Kia or a Hyundai vehicle because they can use an immobilizer that will start the car without a key. It's only supposedly they're only able to do it to vehicles that are 2011 to 2021. And usually it's a vehicle where you need a key to insert into ignition and turn. But we're seeing them everywhere. We're seeing them everywhere. We're seeing every type of car. I can't honestly say it's the newer Kias, newer Hyundais, but it certainly is, you know, cars that are at least 5 to 10 years old that they're targeting. It seems to be fairly easy, or at least they think it's easy to break in, and it was a trend for a while. It's kind of tapered off slightly, but I do think that that's probably some of the activity that's happened within your community. And it's usually juveniles, usually. I had my crime analyst put this together for you. So as you can see, theft from vehicle vandalism incidents comparable from last year to this year. You guys are way up on your TFV as theft from vehicles. As you see in the orange, that is just January 1st to June 12th of this year, is the statistical information you have there in orange. So as you can see, last year, you guys had really low activity within your community. And then for whatever reason, this year, you guys have been targeted quite a lot. Most recently, and what I found too with some of the statistical information that the analyst sent me is a lot of this, as you saw in the previous slide, a lot occurred in March. So you had a string there on one particular day, and then the following day, that could just be, that's when it was reported. It may have happened the night before, but it wasn't reported till the following day. And then you had another string about a week later. So a lot of that occurred, and a lot of that statistical information you see there is from March. On my next slide, sorry, I'm going back and forth, but our detectives did identify the individuals that were targeting your community. It is a large group of juveniles. They have been hitting and breaking into cars all over the county, including Rockville, Wheaton, Germantown, and us here in Gaithersburg, Montgomery Village. They did hit your community, like I said, back in March. And their MO typically is to break the back window and either steal the car or pick up loose items of value. Officers did arrest 2 juveniles from this group on March 3rd. So as you can see from our graphs that things kind of stopped for a period of time. So my feeling is that's because we've arrested at least 2 of those juveniles. So that's good news for us, but unfortunately they will be released again at some point. So, and that could be, we did see an incident in May of this year, May 13th, where a car was broken into. That was reported to our telephone reporting unit, which thank you, whoever called that in and reported it. Appreciate that. And then most recently, we had a car that was dumped, that was stolen and abandoned in your community. Officers responded. This is on the 22nd. It was a Hyundai Sonata. It was abandoned in the area of the 6th Avenue. A resident was able to provide video surveillance capturing the vehicle as it was being left at that location. So huge that we have that video capturing those activities. Again, here we talk about surveillance, and I know probably folks are either cringing or maybe they're like, hey, yeah, it's what we got to do. This kind of stuff is huge for us. If we didn't have that surveillance, I'm not saying that we would not catch these individuals, because there's other things. We're going to get fingerprints. We're going to get other items out of the car that will lead us to who did this. But surveillance almost is like the nail in the coffin. So having that technology in your community, I think, is very advantageous for us as police. I was talking earlier that some people, it took me a while. Some people are hesitant to have technology or want technology in their community. Like I said, it took me a while. We got our cameras, I want to say 2 years ago. I mean, it's been we didn't have cameras at all until a few years ago. So I understand that completely. But like I said, I can't overemphasize how much that helps us, and I can't thank that resident enough for providing that footage for us for that vehicle being left there. I just threw in some safety tips for your vehicle. I think we all kind of know all this, but we can go over it real quick. If you can have your vehicle, park your vehicle in a locked garage, that's ideal. But if that's not an option, park it in a well-lit, well-populated area. Something else we talked about, guys, too, on our other meeting is installing a bright or motion sensor light to dissuade potential thieves. So if you're not if you don't feel great about having a surveillance camera, maybe just having that motion sensor light in your driveway or somewhere where you would want to know if somebody is in that area, and shouldn't be in that area, that light will alert you. Some other things, consider purchasing surveillance camera. We talked about that. Surveillance cameras for your home and even your vehicle. I know some people are like, oh gosh, there's surveillance everywhere, you know. But we've actually solved a few crimes of people having their cars broken into because they had surveillance cameras in their vehicle. So again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but it helps us tremendously. Moving on, park your fleet vehicle so in secured, alarmed, or well-lit area. That's more so when we were getting the catalytic converters stolen, and they were usually taken from these large vans or work trucks. I assume the catalytic converter is worth more on vehicles like that. I know also Priuses were hit really hard with catalytic converters. So I guess, just that's where that line comes from. So if you do have a work truck or something that you park, make sure you put it in a well-lit area or try to alarm it or secure it somehow, because it could be targeted for that. I haven't seen a whole lot of catalytic converters being stolen lately. We're seeing now again the steering wheel. I'm drawing a blank, but basically it's airbag. The airbags are being targeted now. So I'm not sure why there's a switch, but maybe there's, more money for an airbag, possibly. Always lock your vehicle, set the alarm. A lot of people have different opinions about this. Some people are like, well, if somebody's gonna break into my car, I don't want to break my window. So I don't want to lock it, so they leave it open. A whole lot of rules of thumb for that. I would prefer to lock my car and set the alarm. That way I know, or I can hear if somebody's messing with my car. Certainly don't leave items in your vehicle that are of value. You'll be surprised. Again, I worked in patrol for many years, ran many calls, and people will leave purses and computers. You think, are you kidding me? Yes, they will leave wallets, a key to the car. I mean, we've seen everything. So take those items out. It just takes a couple moments to grab that, that iPad or something that you thought, oh, it's fine, I'll leave it. No, pick it up. Consider purchasing anti-theft device. Again, this is for the catalytic converters when they were getting hit pretty hard. You can buy a shield or a motion sensor for your catalytic converter. I just Googled that. They do sell those items. They're not very expensive. But if you're not seeing that issue, I wouldn't worry about it. Important numbers, 911, of course, a call, our non-emergency number. We also have tip lines. So if you don't want to identify yourself, just want to provide information, you can use our tip lines. You can also text us information if you would like. These are all different ways that you can convey information to us, and then maybe we don't show up at your door or try to call you. I would always encourage folks, if you're comfortable and you're calling in something, say suspicious car, like we talked about earlier, but you don't want to be visited or you don't want police to call you, you can stipulate that on the call. Say, hey, I don't want to be contacted. I don't want to be called. I don't want them to come to my door. You can say all that, and we won't do that. We won't do any of that, but meaning we won't come to your door. But sometimes when we get anonymous calls and we get to the scene and we don't see anything, we're just going to leave. So if there's additional information that you wanted us to know, or maybe we just overlooked by chance, or maybe we didn't drive down the right area, we're not going to follow up, and we don't have no way of following up any of that. So I would encourage you to at least leave, your first name or phone number, that if we have questions, we can call you back and just say, hey, I'm here. I don't see anything that you can provide a little extra information. We don't have to come to your door. We can simply just call you, and you can provide us with any added information. Say that individual drove down to a different street, you can give that information to us if we need to. I know sometimes, like if it takes me, say I'm caught on a call elsewhere that took me, an hour to clear, and then now I'm coming to your call and it's been an hour later, I sometimes will call the complainant and say, hey, I apologize. We were caught on a DOA or something, but I'm here. Is there something I can, is that person still here, or is that activity still going on, or whatever the case may be? I can always follow up on something like that. And I think a lot of times the officers try to do that. With that being said, this other part here on the right-hand side, if you inadvertently, I always tell people, if they call 911 by accident, don't hang up. Just stay on the line, talk to the call taker, say it was a mistake, my apologies, everything's fine. And then that's, it'll be done. If you do hang up or don't talk to anybody, then most likely we're going to call you back. The call taker is going to call you back. And then if you don't answer, we are going to come to your door. So don't hesitate to answer the call for calling back, or if you hang up, or if you don't tell us anything. We get this all the time with kids. Kids will accidentally call 911, and you just hear a child talking, is usually what the call will say. Then we know, oh, it's just the little ones that got a hold of the phone. But if we get a 911, we call it a disconnect. So somebody who called us and then hung up, those are a little more alarming to me whenever I would run those calls, because sometimes when somebody's in distress, all they could do was call, dial 911, but they couldn't follow through or answer or whatever the case may be. So those put me a little bit higher alert. So with that being said, if you do it by accident, you got an officer coming to your door thinking that maybe something really bad's happened. So like I said, just stay on the phone or even call us back and say, oops, I'm so sorry, it was an accident. So sorry, went a little too long on that one. Questions? Do we have questions? Been a lot of information. I want to say thank you. And if there's anyone that's here on the Zoom that has reached out to me or reached out to John or Chris, and given information that we can follow up on and has helped in our investigation, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you taking that extra step to help us. And I've even had people contact me who, they said, well, it didn't happen to me, but this is what I'm hearing. This is, what I think is going on. Like, any of that information is important, crucial. And I always say any amount of information, it could be the smallest thing, could crack a case wide open. So even if you think it's not worth calling it in or reporting it, or just reach out to me, and I'll take it. I'll take down the information. I'll write reports all the time. Like I did with our victim of the indecent exposure. I was so thankful she reached out to me. I didn't care that it was 7 months later or whatever the time frame was. And she's a great witness. She provided great information. So I encourage everybody to please reach out. If you saw something, heard something, even if it's secondhand, whatever, let me know about it. And Chris and John both know how to get a hold of me. I could give you my email address if we need it, but you can call me as well, whatever's easiest. I'm here for you guys.
I think we probably published your contact information in bulletins and alerts here in town, but we could probably easily share that again. Um, and I guess to start off, maybe a question is with regards to the recent car that was abandoned here in the Grove. Um, and I know a lot of times we don't get any follow-up, but I'd be kind of curious to to s- to know, what you may have found or the police department may have found. Do you have like a news bulletin or a newsletter that somebody could um, follow or just out of curiosity find out what's going on?
We do have some information on our website, um, a crime summary, but that's more or less going to tell you what's going on in certain areas and what crimes have occurred on what dates and times. We don't typically, unless it's a big case, uh, provide follow-up. And if it is a big case, it will most likely come from our public information office or a press release. So if it were me for Detective Oves and the indecent exposure, when we catch this guy, I want that to be a press release that we put out for sure.
Yeah,
So I apologize, we don't have anything that would necessarily give you follow-ups. To be honest with you, even I have to go and talk to detectives and say, hey, what's going on? Where are you at in this investigation? You almost have to, go ask firsthand sometimes to get some follow-up. And I don't mind doing that for you guys. If there's something that you guys want me to check on, I will check on it for sure. I don't mind reaching out to detectives, to any of our specialized units and asking them, what's going on, what's the latest kind of thing.
yeah. The reason I ask is, and I think a lot of the folks who report because they don't hear back, they're wondering if what they reported was productive, and so feedback would probably help a lot. So
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And that probably is something that down the road we could work on as a police department for sure. Um, but yeah, as of right now, the only follow-up we really have is if you're a victim of a crime, say rape or something, um, of significance, then we have victim witness assistant who will reach out and give you, uh, numbers and brochures to seek help in certain areas. So, that is nice that we have that. Our victim witness coordinator is Maria Carzon. She's fantastic. She reaches out to all the crime victims and helps them as best she can. So we do have that. But yeah, that is probably something our police department should work on doing that.
I guess not to hog up all the time, but one more question is uh, and I kind of lost train of thought here. I apologize. What was I going to say? Um, with the oh, that's what it was. I know probably I don't know, probably last year you had shared some information about allowing Montgomery County Police to access um, personnel door cameras for security purposes. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that program?
Absolutely. So I think we still have a rebate program. So if you don't have a surveillance or you're thinking of purchasing surveillance camera for your home, then you can purchase whatever surveillance equipment you like, install it, and then you can go to our website. I can send that to you guys if you need it. It's MoCo Connect is also our registry program, but you can also get reimbursed for that video surveillance. And I think it's up to $250 for residential surveillance. That does not, if you get that rebate, it will require you to register your cameras with us, but it doesn't mean we have access to your camera anytime we feel like it. Absolutely not. You can also, if you have an existing video surveillance system, you can register your cameras with us. Again, that does not give us permission to access your footage. What it does is it goes into a database saying that there is a video camera in that area, and if we have a crime that occurs somewhere near there, we can reach out to you and say, hey, I see that you have a camera. Can we have some of that footage on this date and time? So that's what that program is. So it's two different programs. One is the rebate program to get reimbursed for surveillance cameras in your home if you don't currently have them, or if you're going to just purchase them recently. And the second one is registering your cameras. So if you're just purchasing them, you can register, or if you already have existing surveillance cameras, you can register them with the county. And again, it just gives us an indication that there is a surveillance camera in that area.
No, that's good to hear. And yeah, I appreciate it if you could share that info with us and following this presentation, that'd be great.
Absolutely. It's a great.
I do have a question in terms of the indecent exposure. People who do this, do they go on to do even worse things? I mean, I don't know, what is the mindset? You know, what is the behavior? What's going on? Is this, you know, I mean, besides being disgusting, is this really dangerous?
You know, I can't quote you statistics, but yes, typically something like this will sometimes get bigger or worse by this particular individual or individuals. Not saying that that's what's going to happen or that you guys are in danger, but certainly this activity, like you said, is disgusting, but that's where I feel a need, and that's a conversation I've had with Detective O's of like, is this individual going to do more than just what he's doing now? Is this going to become something else? So is that possible? Yes. Statistic wise, yes. So your guys' help is crucial. If, like we talked about video surveillance, if somebody comes forward and says, yeah, I saw that car and I think that individual was in it on this date and time, we can go to that area and check to see if there are cameras there. And then now we have maybe some good footage of that individual. So your help is needed. That if you see this individuals in your community, to call us right away. Give as best detail as you can, and then that way, if a neighbor has footage, or maybe we even catch them in the act, that would be the best scenario. But that's a great question.
Could we request more police patrol in our neighborhood?
You can most certainly do so. If you wanted to reach out to me, you can. What I say typically is when I get that request, is that we get that request a lot from everybody, from communities, from churches, from schools, from property managers of shopping centers, and you name it. For the 6th district, we cover over 500 square miles. So it's a lot of area to cover, and for us to be everywhere and to be able to patrol consistently in a particular area is very difficult for us. Any given shift, we have anywhere from 9 to 12 officers working. So the chances of us being able to patrol in your area is pretty low. Not to say that we won't, especially if what's going on with this indecent exposure, we're definitely going to concentrate some of our resources in that area. And we have been. I can't really go into detail at the moment. Detective Oaks and I have talked about it, of some of the things that he has put in place. But he has used some of our specialized units on certain occasions to be in your community and to monitor this individuals. So we are concentrating some of our resources in your community. But it never hurts for you to reach out to me and say, hey, you know, can you just have some folks roll through here occasionally? My husband, he works the evening shift. And so sometimes if I get requests from you guys, like I ask him if he can roll through your neighborhood whenever he has a slow moment, you know, in his shift. So like I said, reach out to me. I'll do whatever I can.
Are there any other questions? It's a great opportunity to hear directly from Montgomery County Police and Officer Romano. So if you have any questions, please speak up.
Yeah, Chris and John, I guess this would be more of a conversation you have with your community members, but I don't know how you guys feel about having surveillance cameras and motion detectors and things like that. I know those are kind of difficult topics to go over, but it could be something you guys may want to talk about at another date, on another date and time.
Well, we have off and on, it has been suggested that since our community has about 4 entries, that we could easily put surveillance on each of those entries, and then presumably as needed, correlate vehicles or anyone walking as well with subsequent events, were there a reason to do so. It's never gotten much traction as to how that would work, how invasive that would be, and you know what connection with the police would that would be part of that. But it certainly has, you know, especially with that rash of events back in March, whenever that was. Yeah, that would have been, you know, it's not unlikely we would have been able to provide significant information about a car at 2 a.m. Entering the town. So it's something that's come up, and maybe it will be brought up again as potentially a useful tool to protect the community.
And I think I talked a little earlier too, putting signage up, you know, sometimes is a good deterrent as well. Even if you don't have significant amount of surveillance occurring or something like that, you know, maybe just a sign up saying, hey, you know, we could be watching you, something of that, you know, certainly more formal, but you know, I know for neighborhood watch, sometimes people will put up neighborhood watch signs. You don't necessarily, and I do neighborhood watch as well, you don't necessarily have to be part of a neighborhood watch to put up signs. You can buy the signs online and hang them up and none the wiser. So those are just tools,
Yeah.
you know, tools to think about, that if you're not ready to get all that technology equipment installed, maybe you throw up a few signs to kind of see if that will deter things.
So, question though regarding cameras, if they're not in town, conversations I had with one of our residents is that there's license plate readers surrounding Washington Grove already. So, can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, do we have a lot of license plate readers in Montgomery County?
Uh, we have as a district, we have 3 cameras that are portable. And they are in 3 different areas here in the 6th district that are troubled areas. I don't think that your community would qualify for that because you have such low crime. But they do exist. And they will read license plate, things like that. I've heard you can purchase those on your own. I've never looked into that. I wouldn't even know where to direct you at all, if you wanted to do that on your own. Also, some of our cruisers are equipped with license plate readers. So if they're patrolling in the area, they will pick up license plates as they're driving along. So yes, that is occurring around you. Not in your neighborhood though, I wouldn't think. But yeah, I think they're a great tool. But again, that's everyone's preference, you know. And there's
Kelly?
a hand up. Yeah, there's a hand up, I think.
Yeah, okay, so for years I had fake signs on my house. I trust everybody on this call, saying I had these alarm systems. And then finally we painted and then they're not there. Are they worth it?
I think so. I think so. I think many crimes that occur are a lot of times just opportunity. So the more things you do to your home, and that's one other thing that I can do for you guys if you wish. I can come to your home and we can go over some ways that you can do very tasteful measures that probably wouldn't to, a thief or whatever know that that's why you did that. But there are ways that you can, alter the outskirts and exterior of your home to make it just a little bit harder for an individual. And that includes your signs, like you talked about. I love when people put up, signs about big dog or vicious dog, and they don't have any dogs, those are definitely deterrents. We can go over kind of where your bushes and your foliage around your home, how that can be a deterrent as well. You put those thorny bushes underneath your windows can be a really good deterrent. Yes, I think all of that. Like I said, if it's a thief that is just, crime of opportunity, they want least resistance. So if they see that there's any kind of difficulty, they may just walk past and go to the next, So I would encourage signs. And again, even if you don't have it, that's okay. We can lie to people and make them believe that, that we're watching, or that there's alarms, or there's video surveillance. We can tell them all that stuff. They won't know, people put fake cameras up all the time on businesses and areas, I think it's a good deterrent. I really do.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I should just add, I came here 30 years ago from Philly, and I was alarmed that there weren't bars on every window and every door. I didn't know how anyone could live like this. So it's all relative.
That's great. That's great. Well, I'm glad you're here.
I guess, along those lines with what Shelley had mentioned, the question I have is, um, do you have any statistics on people locking doors, locking cars versus not regarding crimes, in particular crimes of opportunity, I would imagine?
Yeah, I don't have specific stats on that, so I can maybe have the crime analyst look that up for you to see. But I would say well, at least for me, and when I was in patrol, we would get calls frequently where community members, who are just paying attention, which is fantastic, will see sometimes juveniles, sometimes adults trying doors on, cars in their neighborhood, and they'll call us. And to me, that indicates that they're looking for that car that's already open. They don't want to smash a window. They don't want to make noise. They want something super easy. So statistic wise, I would say, I mean, it's kind of hard to count the cars that maybe they didn't go into because it was locked. We may not know that information, but I would think that if you got to break a window and you got to make all that noise, there has to be something really good in there for them to do that, I think, or if they want to steal the car. So I think that's where you're gonna see why they would break that window. But I would lock your door. Absolutely. Set your alarm, make it noisy, make it, and anytime I've heard several calls too, like we get reports of stuff that goes on at night, overnight. And every once in a while, car 12, we call it car 12, will report that, somebody was trying doors and the neighbor walked out and just to see what was going on, and that made the person run away. So again, they don't want to make noise. They want to get in and out and super easy.
That's good to hear.
I would like to share just quickly, many years ago, when I was pregnant with my son, I was home alone. It was in the morning. I was getting ready for work. And I heard this person, a stranger on the stoop, and I watched him through a window, and he tried opening the screen door, and he was able to open the screen door because it wasn't locked, and then he tried the door. And I don't know what would have happened if he had been able to come in, but that door thankfully was locked. So I always lock my doors when I'm home, when my husband is home, when my son is home with the dog. We keep our doors locked. Absolutely.
That's a great example. Yes, absolutely. And garage doors too. Sometimes people leave their garage doors open and they become victim of someone just walking by or riding their bike, and they just want to, whatever. You got some great stuff in your garage that people want, so be sure and lock your doors, close your garage when you're not in it, all that fun stuff. That's wow. You told me that story and I got goosebumps. I'm like, I can't imagine someone standing in my front door trying to open the door. Like, whew. Ah, it's scary stuff.
So I guess, now's the time to ask if there's any other questions. And again, this is a great opportunity. So please speak up if you have something on your mind.
If something comes up later on, Chris just forward it to me, and I'll do my best to answer any further questions. Say if you thought of something later on, I'm here for you guys.
Thank you very much. And that's the thing too, I really, and I think as a town, we really appreciate all of your information and communications. And it, I think it's been very helpful for us. to know that there's somebody in the Montgomery County Police Department that we could reach out to, and provide whatever it is that we do see here. Um, and thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome. I appreciate you guys because as I tell folks all the time, we don't know what's going on until you tell us, you know. Otherwise, we think everything's fine, you know. So, but you guys have been, I'm telling you, for the community members, Mayor and Chris, the counselor, they've been phenomenal. They're in constant contact with me all the time. And that I appreciate tremendously. You have a very good representation for your community. You guys should be really proud.
Margot, you late entry.
Yeah, I know, but because I just thought of this now, because it hasn't been happening quite lately. And so maybe it's a topic for another call. But the sort of thing that I have personally run into here in town is scammers coming door to door. And I wondered if you had any tips or hints about how to keep them out, or, I mean, you can say close your door on them, but sometimes they're fast talkers and they're good, you know. So just sort of to make you aware, that's something that I have seen around here. It's not an actual crime unless you fall for it, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's the difficult part. Yeah, absolutely. And there's all kinds of different scams that they, you know, they come to your door, they tell you they're going to cut or trim down your tree or clean
Yeah.
off your roof or whatever, you know, and then you give them money and they disappear, you know. Yes. Certainly if there's somebody in your community that's walking around soliciting, you can call us. Like you said, it's not necessarily a crime per se, but we can at least talk to that person. And if need be, we do an FI, which is just a field interview. We just take down their name and their information, why they're there. It's not an official report. It's just saying, hey, we came in contact with this individual and here's when and why. So we can do those types of things if we need to. If this person's kind of, yeah, I don't know, doesn't feel right, or some things he's saying. Because a lot of times you have these kids get dropped off. You ever seen that where these juveniles get dropped off and they're told to walk around and knock on doors and ask if you want an alarm system or all these different things. And I'm so leery about all that stuff. Sorry, if I want something, I'm gonna call or go online and request it. I don't need you to come to my door and ask me to purchase this stuff. So yes, don't answer the door. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Brad Pitt, Sandra. Well, okay. Well, but yeah, if there's somebody at your door you don't know and they look like they're soliciting, I would not even answer the door. And if they're persistent or, you know, they're making you uneasy, call us. That's what we're here for. Absolutely. I wouldn't fall for any of that stuff. I wouldn't even entertain it. I know sometimes you don't want to be mean or you don't, you know, I'm kind of like that too. Like, oh, well, I'll just talk to him and it's fine. I'll just tell him to go away. But then they talk you into something and, you know, just don't even engage. Let us engage that person. Let us take care of it.
thank you.
Mhm.
I had a major hack about a year ago, January, and the police sent out somebody because I had to have a report to get my money back from the agencies that they busted into. And they were really nice. They came out and told me what to do and filed a report for me. Was good.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yes, there are so many scams going on right now by people and hacking, like you said, hacking, and they're able to somehow get our information. I don't know about you all, but I get about 4 calls a day, 5 calls a day, which are scams, like spam or whatever it is. I'm like, man, where did I write my phone number in somewhere that
It's random.
oh, I know, it makes me nuts. And as you know, don't ever give your personal information to anybody who calls you. you call them and meaning like you want to talk to your bank or you want to talk to your creditor or credit card or whatever, and you call them, it's perfectly fine. But if somebody calls you and says they're from your bank or they're from your credit card company, blah, 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 do not, don't believe any of that. Even if it is, they're not going to call you. The IRS is not going to call you. We are not going to call you. You ever hear of these phone calls that have been going around? It's been several years, but they are you with fire or the police and, oh, can you donate, for the police department or whatever. That's not us. We don't call you. We're not going to solicit money from you at all, ever. If you wanted to give money, say to the police foundation, which takes care of officers that are killed in the line of duty, takes care of their families, things like that. If you wanted to reach out to the Montgomery County Police Foundation, you can, and you can donate to them. But anybody that's calling and telling you they're with the police department, the fire department, anything like that, it could be credible somewhere, somehow, but I would just say, no, thank you. Have a nice day and hang up. No, I just, if you want to donate to somebody, go to that site or to them directly, to do so. Don't fall for whomever is calling, if that makes sense. But I'm sorry that happened. It happens a lot. It happens a lot. And I'm glad you were able to take care of it and the officers were able to give you what you needed to get it taken care of.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Appreciate
Yeah.
your time.
I think we should all thank Officer Romano for taking time out of her evening to do her community services. This has been a big service to Washington Grove. Thank you so much for being here and updating us. And I think we'll again offer up your number and everything. If we can get your slides again, we'll make sure that those who weren't here have a chance to get the contact information. And any of you who speak to anybody else, I do have a recording. So anyone who wants to see the presentation and discussion, just contact me and I'll give them a link to it. I'm not going to post it anywhere, but I certainly can make it available. And I'll say so maybe when we summarize in the minutes or something like that.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I will, when I get off here, I will email the both of you, the presentation and also the camera registry stuff.
Good enough. Great.
That's very good. Thank you very much.
Thanks so
really
much.
appreciate your help.
Thank you
All right,
all.
everybody. Enjoy the evening.